So intelligence is the ability to pivot, because life is constantly coming at you, and to think that you can control it is actually not intelligent. So it's kind of a paradox, because your mind thinks that intelligence is strategy. But this is not right, because if you really investigate it, your mind is incredibly limited in what it comprehends and understands about the world. Like, it is built purely on past experiences. Past experiences that account for like a fraction of a percent, like very, 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 very little, statistically insignificant. And that's what your mind is built on. So when you start to like have strategies, yeah, at some times it can feel like you get this kind of like, oh, confirmation from reality and experience that, oh, you made a good decision. So it can be very tricky. And like anything, there's levels to understanding. And of course, this is not to say that the mind is useless and it should be thrown away. It's just that 99.9% of it is completely, really unhelpful, because the intelligence actually comes from a much deeper place. That's the thing. It's not that you're throwing away your mind or that your mind is insignificant, but it's just the way you are using your mind, because you're using it based on past experiences. So if you truly want to be intelligent, you literally have to switch on to a deeper part of your mind. There's no real other way around it. This is what people say by being present, right? Being aware. Now, like, there's lots of levels to being present. And you can say, oh, I'm just being present here. I'm sitting and I'm looking at the trees or whatever you're doing. Great. But are you doing it from a place of my mind is accurate? My mind is an accurate representation of reality. So if you're coming from that place, then you're ultimately not being intelligent. You're ultimately confused, because you're perceiving life from the past and then making decisions based on that. And sure, it might work for you sometimes. You might think it works. You might be like, this is ludicrous. How could you possibly function without your thinking mind? I'm talking about going to a part of your mind that is much deeper thinking, which is more spontaneous, which doesn't require the past to describe reality to it. It's sort of like switching your mind into a different frequency, one that is truly present and still operates through the mind, but comes from a place that is much deeper, that is much more who you are. So, this is kind of like a complex little labyrinth, because, as you think you are this mind, you're going to keep finding justifications to maintain the sovereignty of the mind itself, this sort of disjointed, compartmentalized part of your mind, not your entire mind. Your entire mind is much more, right? And this is much more of really kind of who you are, even though you're much more than that. But at least if you tap into this sort of state that is deeper and higher than your mind, if you switch on to this, then you're going to be a much more fluid and direct experiential, basically being, whatever, person. You're going to feel through your mind at a much higher level, and you're going to have way more success in how you feel and all your behavior. Like, this is very practical. This is not some woo-woo kind of thing. This has been called so-called spiritual. That's only because we're so identified with being the mind that we have to sort of compartmentalize it as something else, when truly this is just actually what reality is. This is just about tapping into reality as it is, not through the veil of your little limited memory of a past, right? And that little limited memory of a past is so hidden to you, it's so secret, it's so normalized that you basically can't see it, right, most of the time. And the only way that you can start to observe your own version of reality more is to be still and be quiet and do things that sort of raise your energy, so that way you have the capacity to see through your veils, because this is the most practical thing that you can do for your life situation, right? And just your direct experience, how you feel. Like your external circumstances will definitely improve. You might go through some bumps in the road. Well, they will go through some bumps in the road. But your internal, which is really accounts for like the majority, like in the high 90s of the effect on your actual experience, is it's coming from inside of you, right? So recognizing this is what gives you value to this process. You have to sort of research this within yourself to value it so you actually do this, because the habit is so deep. The habit is so deep to be contracted energetically into your thinking mind, and therefore just running on this software program. It requires a huge amount of energy to detach from this, because it's very magnetic. You don't want to underestimate this. So you need to raise your energy, right? You need to raise your awareness and your energy. So this is why you can do lots of things, whatever works for you, right? To sort of ground yourself and start to listen, start to have attention towards your experience in a direct way, not the indirect way where you're just thinking and identified with that thinking. This is just the ego mind. So this ego mind is really what you normally function through, and the majority of everybody functions through, until they start to click in and start to realize that, oh, wait, there's something more to me, right? And then they want to discover what that is. And you can do this all kinds of ways, but what I'm describing right now is just simplify yourself, ground yourself, find space to sort of listen to yourself and give attention to that, right? And start to notice this calmness and this equanimity that is actually always present and inherent in your experience, your direct experience right now, no matter what you're doing. There's no limitation to this, because this is what you actually are. So situations might come and be so difficult that you cannot really be present through them. And they veil the experience more. And then this kind of can really disconnect you from yourself. Sometimes these situations can heighten your awareness so dramatically as well that you become ultimately truly present through these difficult situations. It really depends where you are, but it doesn't matter if you're feeling good or feeling bad. It's about awareness of whatever that experience is. That's what you're doing. You're bringing attention. You're being a witness to whatever it is that's happening. And you marinate in this. You be this, right? You sort of digest this, value this, and then bring that into whatever it is you do. And if you want to self-help, if you want to help yourself, this is by far the most efficient way to do that. You can do all kinds of things to sort of help out your character, but the best way to help your character, to refine it truly, is to actually marinate in what you are and be that presence, be that stillness, and still have activity, still live your life. You don't need to give up or change anything. If something wants to change or give up, then you can do that, but there's no necessity, because this applies to no matter what is going on for you. There's no rules to this in terms of where it can or cannot be applied. It's applied always, and it's just up to you as to how much you want to apply it. And the application of it comes through you understanding the value of it. So you got to get some experience in it. You got to start trying it. You got to start noticing it. Be there with that, and then you'll forget, and then remember again, and just keep coming back to it. You sort of, notice it. Notice yourself if you're in a contraction, energetically or physically. Relax it. And then be there with that, no matter whether it's a thought or a feeling or an experience. They're really all kind of one thing. So you basically just keep bringing attention to this and relaxing into it, and still take action. This is not saying be apathetic. This is just saying switch on to your mind, your highest self, and then behave from this place as much as you can, and train yourself, because you're breaking a habit, right? You're breaking an old habit, and you're now training yourself basically a new habit. You can look at it that way. Really truly what's happening is how to make this not sound woo-woo, but your deepest self is actually the one that is pulling you along and is actually doing this for you. It just feels like you're the one doing it as this ego mind, but really, basically what I'm saying right now is just you talking to yourself, bringing you back there yourself. Chew on that one, but it's not really complicated. It just means that when you tap into yourself deeply, you start to realize your connectedness to all beings, and that includes everything, including me. So if I'm talking to you right now, it just really means that you're talking to yourself, right? And you're ready to hear this now, because if you've listened for this long, something must be interesting to you here. So don't think about it as me talking to you. Think about it as you talking to yourself, because that's the same thing that we share. And that's all I'm doing here. It's just like holding a torch and you light your own torch. There's nothing fancy about it. There's no hierarchy about it. There's no better or worse or someone's ready. Well, there is a readiness to it, but the readiness is not, it's just that we're all ready at some point. It's just sometimes we're on different timelines. I mean, that's one way of kind of looking at it. All those concepts start to fall away the deeper and deeper you go into yourself, because all these concepts are just mind stuff, right? So the mind stuff is fine, but you do just know that your trajectory here is getting deeper than that, getting bigger and sort of encompassing all that. You don't lose all your thoughts or your feelings or your experiences. Of course you don't, but you just become a witness and observer to those. And then you realize that you're observing and you're creating at the same time. That's it. And the world is all one thing. There is no difference between spiritual or material. It's just all one thing, one whatever, substratum, whatever you want to call it. And that's it. This is all there is. There is no heaven or hell. That's all what this place is, So, and even if there is, even if you want to subscribe to that, what's the point, right? Like, you're here now, right? So be here now. And if there is such a thing as a heaven or a hell in another dimension, which who knows, maybe there is. I'm not here to say there isn't. But what I am saying is work with what you got, right? What you got is right here, and you want to be present right here. And that's going to send you in the right trajectory anyways, because that's truly the connection with all that stuff that these esoteric or religious or whatever, systems are pointing at. It is really this simple. And you can dig into it. You can go all over the place. And do that. Don't just take my word for it. It's experiential.